Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick update on Bitcoin. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Alright, I'm looking at Bitcoin on the 4 hour. I've got the Coinbase chart pulled up right now. And as you can see, we were essentially expecting something like a double top Adam and Eve pattern to play out. We basically had been oscillating inside of this descending triangle. We have consistent lower highs in the triangle, and then we have a flat bottom of support. When we move back down to the bottom for the third time after 3 consecutive lower highs, we did in fact consolidate there for a moment, and then we got the break. The break we were expecting is the measured move right here. As soon as we got that measured move down to the bottom, we found support and almost put in a bullish engulfing candle, moved all the way back up and got the retest of the breakdown point. Now it looks like the SR flip has taken place. What was previously our support level is now acting as our resistance level. If we consolidate here long enough, we would expect sell-off and continuation. At this point in time, what I'm expecting is essentially continuation down to what's going to end up being the neckline for this Adam and Eve pattern. Switch over real quick, and as you can see, essentially what happened was when we broke down from that descending triangle, we lost the 89 moving average, came down to the 200 moving average, and then pushed back up to the 89 again. So we lost the 89 as support, found support on the 200, just like a stair step like we always say, and then we came back up to retest the 89 as resistance now, could not get above it, and now we would expect continuation back to the downside. Next target's going to be like that 17.5 range again, and then again if we do fail to get down to that, eventually we'll expect continuation down to like the 16.5 range, somewhere around there. We did get multiple histograms on the TJD TD MACD. We got the hard buy signal at the bottom off the 200 moving average. Great position to take a scalp at, but you know, this is the type of situation where you're going to want to sell back into the next moving average when you get back to it. Now assuming we do stay here long enough and can get back above the 8, potentially push back up to the 21, consolidate, and then we could attempt to move back to the upside, but at this point in time it looks very unlikely. It looks like we're going to get continuation to the downside as we were expecting. Once again, if we look at the Stoch slope, you'll see we're going to come back up here, essentially put in another lower high, and then we would expect continuation to the downside. Now what we're going to pay attention to for a potential actual move to happen here is, one, when we come back down to this level, if we make it back down to that 16.5 level, we want to compare the oscillator indicator to see, are we putting in any kind of divergence when we get down there? And two, is this going to act as support when we get back down to it, and then we're going to get continuation to the upside, potentially back to retest like the 200 at that point in time, or are we going to find temporary support right there and then break down from it and get that longer measured move, which would essentially be the big measure move, taking us back down anywhere from like the 13.6 to like $13,000 range, which would obviously shake out a lot of the weak hands, and then we would have to play it by ear from there. Now, just like we were saying before, typically when you start seeing these green dots on the VPCI, those are typically the best areas to take a buy at, but you have to wait until it crosses back over and you start moving back to the upside, or else you're just guessing with each of these green dots if that's the bottom. So right now it is possible that we essentially found support here, broke down from our pattern, found support, and then this is going to act as support and we're going to continue to the upside, in which case we would be looking to take out that high at like the 19.5 range and then potentially get continuation to another high. And once again, just like we were talking about with the TJD waddah explosion, we were starting to see more and more of the red, and then we finally did get the blue slope. Continuation to the upside, which essentially shows that the sell-off is getting stronger, more powerful. Now we are consolidating and flipping it back over yellow. We're getting a little less volume here, so it is possible that this is the end of the move, but I would expect to see a larger signature like one of the previous areas. Like this is where we topped out, but then we still got continuation. That's around the same level. This was like the actual trend change from the sell-off. This was the actual trend change from the high. And then this once again, was more indignant of like a continuation move. As you can see, the volume positively here got quite a bit of follow through, and the same volume around right here, you would expect to get quite a bit of follow through back down to that 16.5 range. And then once again with the on balance volume, exactly like we were saying happened, we essentially are in that green uptrend, break down from it, get the red, and then continuation, break down from it, get the red, continuation, break down from it, get the red. So now what we're paying attention to here is, are we going to get denied and then continue down, or are we going to be able to break back above it and then get continuation to the upside? Once again, temporarily, I'm looking for more of a bearish reset at this point in time before we get continuation, but I will be paying attention if it looks like we are topping out this trend on like the macro. So and then last but not least, we did get the buy signal divergence coming out of that bottom area right there, but it does look like we are potentially going to be essentially just putting in a lower high right here and then getting that continuation. But as you can see, the knife basically picked out the bottom perfectly in the same way that it picked out the top here, the bottom here, the top here, the bottom here, the top here. The knife is obviously a very, very powerful tool, and when you start to see it poking out in a powerful way, either to the up or to the downside, that tells you very clearly that you're probably at a point of at least a temporary reversal. So and then let's check out the Bitcoin dominance. Once again, we're just consolidating between all the moving averages. This looks like a bearish reset to me. Price is essentially doing nothing, consolidating sideways, but we are seeing, the slope to the upside. So eventually we're going to max this back out and get a sell back off. So it is potential, obviously, that, the altcoins could gain a little strength here. And then total market cap. This looks a little bit bearish to me right now. We broke down from the 8, lost it. Broke down from the 21, but we were able to save it on the daily. But then, we failed to get back above the 8. So essentially, over the next day, what we're looking to happen is, do we hold this 21, or do we break down below it and then potentially come down to like the 479 billion, which is obviously like quite a bit. If we lost 70 billion in market cap right now, that looks pretty bearish. And, is going to coincide with this potentially being a topping pattern. As once again, you can see the same signature on Bitcoin, that Adam and Eve reversal pattern that you're seeing on the total market cap. So, and then again, the histogram is below the slope. The slope is blue. So while we could get a small test back up here, if we stay along underneath it long enough, it's going to flip it back over red. And, we're going to get a long trending move to the downside. Once again, we have flipped over red on the Stoch slope. The RSI and the EMA of the RSI are both headed to the downside, and the moving averages are getting ready to cross. If we stay in this area long enough, they're going to come together, and then if we get below the 21, they're going to cross to the downside. If we can get back above the 8, we can avert that cross and get continuation. But at this point in time, I don't see any reason why this is not going to be the top. But again, you don't want to call it before it's actually happened. We're going to wait, see it play out, and let the market speak to us. So. Well, there you have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader with a quick market update on Bitcoin. Everything's playing out exactly like we said. Basically called out the moves exactly, and they are happening just like we said. We're going to continue to expect the market to do what it always does and follow our basic rules, stair-stepping down the moving averages, looking for potential support at each one of them, and then retesting the previous support as resistance until we do get a continuation in one direction or the other. So there you have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out of here.